physician that was very well respected in town, had been raised in the Catholic faith all his life, and was still going to church, going to masses and everything. But all the people in Catholicism trusted him in the town. In fact, all the nuns and the priests would go to him whenever they had a physical opportunity. So one nun, a new man was in the waiting room of his office, of his medical office one day, and a nun came out crying. And so another sister that was waiting there for the doctor said, sister, what's wrong? And the nun that was crying said, the doctor says I'm going to die. And so, I already left out something, but anyway. The sister that was crying had gone to the doctor because she had this case of hiccups that had been going on for 2 weeks and couldn't get rid of them. Okay? Wow. I think you heard that early on in the joke. But anyway, so she said, the sister said, what's wrong, sister? And she said, the doctor told me I'm going to die. And the guy was so shocked. And so he was next in line, so he went in and saw the doctor and said, met the doctor for the first time and said, well, I'm really kind of a little bit nervous because you just told that nun she's going to die. And the doctor laughed and said, she's not going to die. And I said, well, and the guy said, well, why did you tell her that she's going to die then? And he said, got rid of her hiccups, didn't it? Would have been better without any mistakes. Let's say our statements of truth together, please.
I am a child of God. I am deserving of good in my life. I am accepting my good now.
Okay. Today's title of the lesson or the message is "What kind of love is this?" And Francie put some pictures up there, so we're going to see what they are. Me and you are seeing them for the first time. So obviously that's a wedding picture that Francie and I had many moons ago. But
well, you did miss my anniversary, so.
I did. When?
This year.
We both missed it. We both forgot. We remembered the day after or 2 days after? I can't remember. 2 days after we both remembered the same thing. So anyway, the question is what kind of love is this? And I want to ask you a question. Just think about it in your mind. How many times have you fallen in love in your life? Oh, there you go. Some reactions to that. Well, it really doesn't make a difference how many times you've fallen in love. Just think about the time when you have fallen in love. Think about how you felt at that moment, okay? Good. I hope it's good. Well, anyway, if you got that feeling in your mind at least, and maybe you can feel some of those feelings, I want to tell you a little bit about my personal times when I remembered that feeling and when I was thinking about this lesson. And one of the times that I really remember, and I never forget, is when, of course, Grace's christening, although this is her adoption day pictures. But during her christening, it was just so wonderful because we were, of course, took her to, first of all, we had her christened twice. Once at my mom's church at the time in La Crescenta, California, and then once at our home church in Wichita, Kansas, because there were people in both places that wanted to see it, and I wanted Mom to do it first. But anyway. So, we had a great time, and both times, though, I remember just taking Grace as a baby and just lifting her up and just feeling that love so pure. And I think that children, especially infants, can do that for any one of us. We can see a child, especially if they're our own, and just feel that love. Now, I know that we can all say that those of us that have had multiple children can say the second wasn't as strong as the first, and the third wasn't as strong as the second. But that misses the point, okay? We love them all. But anyway, I just wanted you to think about a time when you felt that love. And that doesn't have to be for a child, it could be for someone else. But when you felt that love. Because this is what we're talking about when Jesus said, when we talk about children and feel that love, what Jesus said about this. Truly I tell you that unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter into the kingdom of heaven. And I think sometimes in our search for heaven here on earth, we forget this part. That we have to surrender our ideas of the way it's supposed to be. Think about a child for a moment, a very young child, and how they play, and how they look at life. They don't look at life with, well, mommy and daddy should be this way. They look at life, it's kind of like a puppy or something too. They look at life with pure love and know no right and wrong about it. They look at it as we come into life, as what we come from and what we will return to, pure love. Babies do this all the time, and when you see babies play, if you see different, I'm sure that all of us have seen babies play at different ages. And when a young one that hasn't grown into knowing something other than love plays with others that are maybe a little bit older and have grown into something that they want specifically, then that one that doesn't know the difference, when something happens, says, oh, you're going to be that way? Well, go ahead and be that way. It doesn't bother me. It's not going to bother me one bit. I'm going to have fun. Isn't that true?
Yeah. Yes.
They do that. There's a reason for that. It's because they still are in that pure love, and they haven't forgotten what they are and what they're supposed to represent here in life. And so, what kind of love is this? Oops. There are, when we define love, because as adults we learn all this stuff, and when we define love, in the Greek there's 4 different types of love. In psychology there's 7 different types of love, and in one psychological book there's even 8 different types of love, and I listed up as many as I could, so I went with the 8 to just show you. Now we're not going to go over every one as far as a long explanation, because this isn't a psychology class. But I'm going to tell you all of them and let you think about them for a second. Eros, or erotic love. Philia, or affectionate love. You may remember these if you've been in psychology class. Storge, or familiar love. Ludus, or playful love. Mania, or obsessive love. Yeah, okay, we've experienced that one, huh? 6, pragma, or enduring love. Now this one's harder to pronounce. Does anybody know how to pronounce it? Galatia, or self-love. And what's the 8th one, which is the last one, which everybody will know when they see it. But what do you think it is? Think about a church. Church's name.
He said it.
Oh, agape. I didn't hear you say it. Agape, or selfless love. Okay, so those are the 8. Those are the 8 that we've defined. Isn't that wonderful that we've defined love? Sort of not. So, what kind of love is this? Love is something that's kind of interesting, because when we talk about love, we as adults think that we can fall in and out of love. But think about that child that I just talked about. Does he or she think that they can fall in or out of love? They just are love, aren't they? Mm-hmm. They are in love with life all the time. And believe it or not, we can be in love with life all the time. Yet, as adults, I think that we get sometimes so attached to that feeling part of love, which is our humanity, part of our humanity, that we are counting on that feeling part of love to recognize that we are in love. But that's not the case. We are in love in this humanity because our soul, our spirit is always alive, in love all the time. It is our choice, our decision to whether we feel that love or not all the time. Now, we may not have that high of love all the time, but it is our choice whether we do or not. We get to choose whether we are in love or not. Fillmore defines this love as the pure essence of being that binds together the whole human family. He's not talking about if you are in love, then that combines the whole human family. We talk about oneness and unity because when we say we are all one, and this is why we are all one, is because we are all of that pure essence of love. And we sometimes in our life get so busy that we forget, or we forget that we are this. and we express something other than love. He goes on and says, of all the attributes of God, love is undoubtedly the most beautiful. And I probably showed you this definition of love from Fillmore before, but it's important to go over it again as often as we can so we don't continue to forget what we are and how we can live life. Love is the most beautiful attribute of God. And as an expression of God, it is our really responsibility to not only express that love to others, but also to feel that love in our life. To feel it in our life. You know, a lot of Christianity has been sidetracked and been taught to, as long as you express love, as long as you're good in the world, then everything's cool, you're going to go to heaven. But if you don't have an ownership of that, if you don't feel that love, then it really is something that you're doing that's moot. I mean, we say things sometimes, someone, I can't remember who it was, someone in another Unity church, I think it was another Unity minister to be quite honest, said something the other day to me about, I don't remember whether it was a prayer or something, but said something like, one of the prayers or one of the things that we do that's normal in Unity doesn't really mean anything. And I told him, well, not if you just consider it rote. If you don't take meaning, if you don't take ownership of it, of course it means nothing to you. But to others, it may, if they are taking ownership of it and recognizing that that is part of them and that is who they are. So we have a responsibility, especially in Unity, to understand that we not only need to express love in our life, but we also need to feel that love. So whenever you're expressing love, whenever you're doing a kind deed, give yourself some feeling of love. Give it in love, in pure love. He goes on, in divine mind, love is the power that joins and binds in divine harmony the universe and everything in it. The great harmonizing principle known to man. And so this is why that statement of being as a child and being in love have to have commonality. They have to come back together. We have to release everything in our life that we've learned that is right to be able to come back and express that pure love. And that is what is going to bring us all back together. In fact, you know, like this morning we prayed for the people in New York and all the people that I think there were 4 cities this week that had shootings in them that were. And so, you know, we need to not only pray and feel that good for us, but we can't go into those situations to say there's a right and there's a wrong. I know that's hard. That's really hard. But we have to bless the person or the people that we think are wrong also. That's hard to do, I know, but it's something that we have to do. We have to learn how to do. And you know, right now, Francie has on her Facebook, she's friends with a lot more people than I am. But I don't know if she defriended them or just hid. I know that you've hidden their post because a lot of Unity ministers, I'm going to tell on ourselves, I'm not going to claim it though because I don't do it, go on there with their political rants. And you know, I don't care which side you're on. It doesn't make a difference to me. But that's not doing what I'm talking about. I mean, it's so funny because I've told Francie for years, I love it when people hate haters. It doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. You have to show people a different way in order for them to change. You can't tell somebody to change because they're wrong. You can't, it won't work. You can do it, but it won't work. How many wars have we been in? Goodness gracious. Okay. Divine love, this is interesting. This is very interesting. Divine love is impersonal. It loves for the sake of loving. That's what we have to do. We have to pull from the divine within us and love for the sake of loving. The sun we're cloudy today, which is perfect for this example. The sun is still shining.
It's not here.
We know that because it's bright outside. But it's so funny because when I used to fly, and when it used to be overcast, you know, we'd always go, very rarely would the clouds be high enough that it wouldn't be would be overcast and flying. But, we would always go above the clouds. And it was so cool to see, a beautiful, sunny, bright day when everybody below the clouds was experiencing something different. But it was the same day, same place, wasn't it? It's always there. We may be experiencing some overcast right now, but the sun is still shining above it. We can rise above the overcast. It is not love, divine love is not concerned with what or who it loves, nor with a return of love. See, that's where we get stuck sometimes in our humanity, is when we love someone when we're an adult. We want that love back, don't we? I don't know how many people have been in, I never have been, because the first one I fell in love with Francie, and I never have been in an experience of this, but
What about you?
anyway,
Just mention Jeannie.
anyway, when we fall in love as adults with another one single person, we are really wanting that love to be returned, aren't we? That's really not a fault. It's just an idea that we feel that we have that feeling again for someone, but we have to remember where that feeling is coming from on that situation. It's coming from an outer like. And it may be that person may be expressing things in their life that you like and that you admire and that you want to be a part of, but they may not be looking for the things that you are expressing in your life. So we have to love without expecting a return of love. I think many people do that without recognizing it. When we do charitable events or things that we have all been involved in, whatever it may be, we have given love without expecting love back. Yet, we have to, here's another key point, we have to be able to, if we want to, sometimes we do that with the intention of not receiving any notoriety, but we have to be willing when we give love to receive love. This week something happened to me that has never happened before. And at first, although I'm much better about it, a few years ago I probably would have refused it. But now I've accepted it. A gentleman in my Rotary Club, there's these plateaus in Rotary that you get to. And some of them had to do with giving money, some of them had to do with other things. Well, one of the things over the years, I've given money, but I hadn't given enough to reach this one plateau. And this gentleman emailed me as part of a group email sending it to Rotary International that he is going to pay for me to become a Paul Harris Fellow. And in Rotary, that's a pretty big deal. Well, I was just kind of shocked. But I did accept it. I was grateful and accepted it. And it really felt good to be able to not only accept it, but also to be able to feel that love and give it back to him. Because of the fact that he's a nice guy and everything, but the great thing about him is that we're both honest with each other. We don't agree on everything. And that's what kind of threw me off a little bit, We had just got done with a larger disagreement. And he did that. That's a selfless love. But we have to be able to not only receive that, but give it back. So this is that's funny, he's using the same example. Like the sun, its joy is in the shining forth of its nature. Love is. It has nothing to do with, I'm shining because I have to. It's shining because it wants to. And we all know, actually, the sun doesn't ever stop shining, we rotate. But this is the 1 Corinthians 13:4 is the verse that he uses on this. And it's, of course, this is used, the full, even more than this is used in a lot of weddings. Love suffereth long and is kind. Love envieth not, love vaunteth not itself. It is not puffed up. And that first part, some people get confused on. Love suffereth long. It's not talking about actually suffering. What it's talking about is what we were talking about with two things before that. It's not concerned with the return of love. And in our humanity, sometimes we see that as suffering. And we can make it suffering. If that one person is an adult, we wanted to love us back, didn't, then we can put ourselves in a suffering state, can't we? Oh, woe is me. I'm so sad because he didn't love me like I love them. But the expression of love is what we need to do no matter who it is with. So, Fillmore also has something to say about, I guess this is still the rest of that definition. Love is an inner quality that sees good everywhere and in everybody. Now I know that's what I was saying earlier about the people that we see as right and wrong, and we have to be able to say, I don't know I know there's not that many football fans in here, but I know there's been a big deal in football this year about kneeling at the national anthem. I don't know, maybe you heard it on the news, but it's been a big deal. And it's interesting, and some people that I respect, gave different viewpoints on it. And the one viewpoint I really, really appreciated was, when someone is against that type of demonstration, when it was pretty clear what the demonstration was about, what they're saying is that this is my comfort area. Football games, my comfort area, and I'll tell you what, millions of people, that's their comfort area. Millions upon millions, that's their comfort area, and I don't want to be faced with that right now. I can see that viewpoint, yet I can see the viewpoint also of how things have changed in our humanity over time. It has to move us sometimes from a comfortable zone to have some change made. I think I was at first, and I've always been in that comfort zone at football. I've always been in the comfort zone of football. And so changing it kind of struck me too a little bit. But then I see, there are still some things that are happening that are wrong that they were pointing out. And they're still happening. It's not like they've ended. We have to be honest with ourselves and love everybody involved. Not making one right and one wrong. Loving everybody involved. Bringing something to our human awareness is not a bad thing. Especially when we want to be as one. When we want to be as one, don't we want everybody to be happy? We have to be there, or we're not going to be as one. Love, it insists that all is good, and this is the key thing. It insists that all is good, and by refusing to see anything but good, it causes that quality to finally appear uppermost in itself and in all things. Do you get what this is saying? This is pretty darn powerful, this really is. If we are actually loving from a divine love sense, when we are loving everything and everybody, that's all we're going to see. We're not going to see a disruption at football games because we know that they're expressing love some way. We're not going to see a disruption in the streets because we know that the truth of everything is that all people have the Christ within them, right? All people involved have the Christ within them. So if we all have that Christ within them, then we can all learn how to use divine love and express ourselves where we respect other people's divinity. This is saying that we have to be able to just love for love's sake. So, love is the greatest harmonizer and healer, and it does, and like I said before, it brings us back as a humanity, as one. Whoever calls on God as Holy Spirit for healing is calling on divine love. So this is kind of the if you've been raised in church a long time, this is kind of the verbiage you want to hear, and it kind of makes it clearer. Whoever calls on God as Holy Spirit for healing is calling on divine love. Of course, we have the Holy Spirit within us. We have God within us all times. But when we call that Christ Spirit within us forth to express, then we know more of how to express. Whenever we lose our temper or lose whatever, or we feel uncomfortable at something, call forth the Holy Spirit, the Christ, the divinity within you, whatever you want to call it. Call forth that. Count to 5 to 10, whatever, and call forth that. And you'll see things in a different viewpoint. Divine love will bring your own to you, adjust all misunderstandings, and make your life and affairs healthy, happy, harmonious, and free. I think that speaks for itself. And this is the Bible verse that he's using there, Romans 13:10. Love, therefore, is the fulfillment of the law. And it is. So if we only express love, if we only see love in our life and only express love, what is going to be in our life? Nothing but love. And like the little baby kid, the infant, no matter what happens, they're going to see love. We're the only living thing on earth that thinks that we can't be in love. Think about all the animal life. Think about all the plant life. You see the antelope doesn't go near the lion or the tiger because he has a sense not to. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't love the lion and the tiger. That's why there's that little nursery rhyme and that little thing in the Bible that says the lion and the sheep lion and the lamb, yeah, laying together. It's only saying that if we all look at life as it is with love, then that will combine us all and it will fulfill the law. And really, you know what? All of nature is waiting on humanity to do that. We're the only ones that haven't done it. Not to make you feel bad, I want you to feel loved. But we're the only ones that haven't fulfilled the law. And so here, with this congregation, with this church, that's what I want to do. I want to express that as much as we can in our community, in our life, wherever we go. So they'll ask you, that's cool. I've always seen you as a loving person. How do you do that? And you'll say gladly, that's just me, and maybe you can go to Unity and find out more about it. So as we go forth today, let us just take a moment to pray. We're all in the oneness of God, and as we are in that oneness, we see everyone else in that oneness. We hold back our love to no one. We express love to everyone. And in such, we accept our love too, that is directed in our way. We see nothing but love because we are love. And in this, the world is better. And so it is. Amen.